nobody really cares about your personality when they're first looking at your corporate headshot. They're not looking for somebody to go out and get drunk with next Tuesday. They're not looking for someone to be mates with. They're looking for somebody often that's really, really good at what you do. So it doesn't really matter what you do. If you're looking for a photographer, for an example, you're not looking to hook up with me and let's go and have beers and do all those types of things. You're looking for somebody that potentially looks like they could be really, really good at taking photographs.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. All right, well, that brings us through to the main session of this evening, and that's Brad Delaney. So Brad he's my photographer. He's the guy that makes me look sensational. Go and check me out online. I've always wanted to be a movie star. I haven't quite made it to movie star status, but I look like I have. Well, at least I think so. My mother does as well too. Brad is the headshot photographer. He is a specialist in the field. He did choose the field deliberately to stand out from other photographers. He has had an interest in photography ever since he was a boy. And he's traveled extensively, with his camera, photographing throughout the world. Some of you may have seen his surf photos as well. When he's not shooting heads, he's out there shooting the surf as well. So often getting dumped by the waves as he gets that perfect shot. And as he takes a perfect shot, the wave crashes on him. And of course, it's not a perfect surf down the wave there. So he's got to sacrifice the surfing to get the best shot. He's got a studio in Robina on the Gold Coast and also a headshot photography studio in New Farm up in Brisbane. And his focus in headshot photography, if you ever do a session with Brad, it's really quite different to any other photographer that I've used, because he's got this belief that social media and personal branding are, they're here to stay. So more and more people are finding things online. And he's always looking for sort of cool, stylish, interesting headshot photos and images so that he can teach you how to do that, so that you don't just have a smiley photo, you actually have something that's quite interesting. So let's give a big, warm round of applause to Brad as he comes to talk to us about how to look good on film.
Thank you, Nick. Can everybody hear me? Everyone's good? Thumbs up.
Yep,
you can hear me.
Good.
Good. Excellent. I've got a new microphone which glows and changes colors and does all sorts of fancy stuff. So hopefully it's working. It looks like it's working, so that's good. So thank you, Nick. Thanks for the introduction. As Nick said, my name is Brad Delaney. I'm a specialist headshot photographer. I've been taking photographs since I was a little kid. My mum was an artist. My brother's an artist. So it's sort of been in the family, I guess. I couldn't draw stick figures to save my life. So at some stage, I think gave me a camera, or I picked up a camera somehow and went, okay, I like this. This is pretty cool. So I've pretty much been snapping photos since early teens, I guess. Didn't really consider it a career probably until I was into my late 20s, early 30s almost. I grew up in a pub in the middle of Melbourne City down in Victoria. For those of you that are not in Australia, but Melbourne is down south. My folks ran a pub, so I grew up and became a bartender and did all those types of things, managed bars and blah, blah, blah. At the same time, though, I was sneaking around taking photographs. So I eventually moved to the Gold Coast when I'd finished school, became a surf photographer for a while, which was good fun. My father had been a policeman and he became a private investigator. So I joined the family business and immediately I was the photographer for the family business. So that was not terribly exciting. Back in the late 80s, I guess, as a private investigator, you spent a lot of time sitting in a car with a camera, waiting for something to happen. And it was really, really, really boring. Much as you would watch a movie about private investigators and their high-speed chases and jumping in and out of buildings and getting in fights and doing all that kind of stuff. The reality is you spend the majority of your time sitting in a car waiting for something to happen. So it wasn't all that exciting. Went and lived in Japan for a long time, shot a lot of weddings in Japan, loved Japan, but came back. I did unfortunately get a bit of cancer, and I came back from Japan with a throat full of cancer, which I had to obviously have treatment, etc., etc. Came back here, spent a good deal of time in bed trying to recover. Eventually I got up out of bed and went, shit, okay, what the hell am I going to do now? So the decision was made to become a photographer. So that's what I did. So I put my head down and my bum up and started to shoot stuff. A couple of years into that journey, I was working with a business coach, and the business coach said to me, he said, listen, your work is really good, but you've really got to find a niche. You've got to find a niche and just become that guy. So I took him at his word and became the headshot guys. I chose headshots because social media was starting to have some influence on our lives. Facebook was around, LinkedIn was around, Instagram hadn't quite started, but I knew enough web designers to understand that the second most visited page after your landing page was often the About Us page. They also indicated to me that people are 86% more likely to stay on your website and hang around if you have a good or reasonably good headshot on your About Us page. So that sort of tweaked my interest, and I thought, well, if I can work out how to take really, really good headshots of people, I might be busy. And no one else was doing it. So I automatically became the headshot guys and started shooting headshots. So today, really, I'm going to talk to you extensively about a few things. First of all, what is a headshot? I'm going to talk a little bit about the purpose, I think, of headshots, where they should go and why. And then we can start looking at the types of things, types of questions, I guess, that you guys should be asking your headshot photographer before you either shoot with him or her, and then give you some tips and ideas about what to do when he is shooting you, because there are basic things that you can do with your own head that will make you look better in your headshot. They're not complicated. It's pretty straightforward. I have a couple of core beliefs. The first one being, most people look pretty terrible in their photos, and that might be one of the reasons why you're here. But most people look pretty terrible in their photos generally because they've simply never been taught how to do it. And there are techniques that I will attempt to give to you tonight that will make you look better. My second core belief is that being photogenic is teachable. It's a skill that you can learn. And once you understand your own face and what to do with your own face, there's no reason why you couldn't look good in every single photograph that you ever get taken for the rest of your life. And it doesn't really matter what it's for. It could be, you might be at a friend's wedding. You could be at a funeral. It could be for your social media. It could be a night out with the boys or a night out with the girls. It doesn't really matter. Once you understand these techniques and you engage with them, it should make you look pretty good all the time. Now, there's a hand up. No, there isn't. Okay, that was my hand on my own head. There you go. So I'm open to questions as we go along. So if you have a question, I guess, butt in. I can't see everybody's picture, so it's no point putting your hand up or doing any of those types of things. Just butt in and speak. Is probably unmute yourself and have a chat. So, and don't wait till the end. Do that as we go along. Obviously, if I raise some areas of concern for you, ask me about it. So, okay, so let's start off. What is a headshot? It sounds pretty simple and most people would understand, but I'm on a few Facebook groups and there are always people struggling with the idea of a headshot. So for me, a headshot is pretty much what you're seeing here. The view that you see of me right now is a headshot. It's not anything else. It's a headshot. It's your head and your shoulders. The other types of imagery that people get confused with is personal branding, which is more those shots you see of people, particularly business people, where they're sitting at a desk. They might be communicating with somebody they might have a client with them. They might be looking at their computer. Those types of things are personal branding. So the types of things that would show you at work. The other one that people get confused with are lifestyle images. Lifestyle images are about showing what you do when you're not working. So if you go to the gym, or you walk your dog along the beach, or you ride a push bike, or you ride a skateboard, or you go surfing, or whatever it is that you do when you're not working, that's what a lifestyle image is. It might be showing your house, it might be showing you, if you drive a Ferrari, it might be showing off your Ferrari. But those types of things, lifestyle. So does that make sense to everybody? Does that clear that up? I get questions about it all the time. But a headshot is a head and shoulder shot. It's not a half body shot. It's not a 3/4 length. It's not a full body shot. So I deal with those. I do get a lot of questions about half body, full body shots. I tend to try and talk people out of doing those shots, unless they're models or actors. In general, I would suggest that your body shape is completely irrelevant to the job you do. I know it is to my job. I could weigh 150 stone or 50 stone, and it's not going to alter the quality of my imagery. I wouldn't have thought. Now, again, most of you guys didn't introduce yourself, so I don't know what you do, except for Jeff. Again, your body shape really is irrelevant to the job you do. Again, unless you're a model or an actor. Now, I did have a guy actually at one of Nick's talks that I did in person, and he put up his hand and said, "I'm Santa Claus every year. My body shape is really relevant." I went, okay, you play Santa Claus every year. Okay, I guess your body shape's relevant. But for most people, it's not relevant. So why show it? It makes it difficult for the photographer, particularly if you're a non-model type. It's much easier to just shoot your head. Now, I guess the fear for most people is that you're very close. You're very close. Now, I deal with that by suggesting to people that it's all about your expression. So the purpose of your headshot becomes very, very important, because for me, if you're a corporate, and most people hear corporates, yes, got a few heads nodding. If you're a corporate, my job is to make you look like you can do your job. That's how I see it. Yeah. So you've got to look like you're very, very good at your job, so that when your potential clients come looking for you, and there are a myriad of ways that they can find you. Now, that might be your website, it might be Facebook, it might be LinkedIn, it might be Instagram, whatever tools, social mediums that you use to market yourself. Generally, the first thing that they see is going to be your headshot. So if you look like a bit of a buffhead, then they might potentially click away. And if you've spent marketing dollars, marketing money, if you've promoted yourself using videos and posts and all those tricky things that we need to do across social media, if you're becoming unstuck because you've got a headshot that makes you look like you might not know what the hell's going on, it might look fake and might look over the top smiley, then you could be potentially wasting time or wasting money. So your headshot becomes your first impression. First impressions count, I think, even more so these days. So the purpose of your headshot should be to impress the crap out of your potential clients. You need to have a headshot that says, I'm really, really good at my job. Yeah. So that deals with the purpose. Now, I suggest that your purpose shouldn't be about your personality. Now, I get a lot of pushback about this. People come into the studio, they go, I want to show my personality. And my first question is, why? And their response will be something along the lines of, oh, you know, I'm a fun guy, or I'm a fun girl. I go, yeah, but you're a lawyer, or you're an accountant, or you're a marketing person, or you're, you know, whatever it is that you do. Nobody cares. Nobody really cares about your personality when they're first looking at your corporate headshot. They're not looking for somebody to go out and get drunk with next Tuesday. They're not looking for someone to be mates with. They're looking for somebody often that's really, really good at what you do. So it doesn't really matter what you do. If you're looking for a photographer, for an example, you're not looking to hook up with me and let's go and have beers and do all those types of things. You're looking for somebody that potentially looks like they could be really, really good at taking photographs. So that's really, really important to get that in your head to begin with. Your corporate headshot is not about your personality. Does that make sense to most people? I know I get a lot of people going, really? I thought it was about having a big smile. Well, not necessarily, not necessarily. The second thing that your corporate headshot is not about, it's not about your features. Nobody really cares if I've got one ear sticking out more than the other. Nobody really cares that I smile out of the right-hand side of my mouth first. Nobody really cares if I've got one eye bigger than the other. Yeah, they're not critiquing my features. Again, people don't come to my headshot, to my corporate pages, because they're looking for me to be a model. Yeah, I'm not a model, I'm not an actor. So they're not really going to be critiquing my features. So what are people looking at when they're looking at your corporate headshot? They're actually looking for a vibe or a feeling that they might get from you. So what constitutes that feeling? How do you create that feeling? Well, you do it with your expression. Yeah. Now, there's only 3 things on your face that you can move that will change your expression: your mouth, your eyes, and your eyebrows. Once you understand how to manipulate those 3 things, you can pretty much make any expression you like, but you need to be able to manipulate those 3 things. Now, that's not complicated. We do it every day. We make expressions every single day, all day, every day. It's just learning how to make the right ones that give off the right message for your particular industry. So generally, I would be suggesting we want to look confident and capable. Yeah, confident and capable. This is where I normally start. If I'm shooting somebody's headshot, my first goal is to make them look confident and capable. I also want to make them look professional. I also want to make them look warm and approachable. So that's kind of where I start. They're my 5 go-to. That's my go-to expression. Now, it is possible to wrap all of those things up into one expression, because confidence and capability come from your eyes. Your professionalism comes from the overall aesthetic of the image, because it looks professional. It doesn't look like you snapped an iPhone picture in your backyard. It looks like you've sprung some money and you've gone to a professional headshot photographer and you had your headshots done. It's also you're wearing industry appropriate clothing. Now, if you're a lawyer, you don't want to be standing there in a bikini top and a sleeveless t-shirt, probably. Yeah. Maybe Jeff might disagree because he's in Manila and it's bloody hot. But generally, on the Gold Coast, certainly where I am in Brisbane, where I've also got a space. Lawyers are not standing there in cut-off T-shirts and bikinis. So professionalism comes from your industry-appropriate clothing and the overall aesthetic of the image itself. Your warmth and approachability comes from your mouth. So your level of smile is what that is all about. So does that all make sense? Yeah. Confident, capable, professional, warm, and approachable. Okay, so how do we do that? So before I get into that, I'm going to talk about photographers. So most of you, I believe, are there many on the Gold Coast? Who's on the Gold Coast? Show of hands. Robin has put her hand up. Nick's put his hand up. I can't see anybody else's head, so nobody else has put their hand up. That's okay. If you're looking for a photographer, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to go and look at their website. I don't know, I get people book me all the time and they've never looked at my photographs. You've got to understand that, you've got to understand the type of work that they do. It's no point booking a wedding photographer, I don't think, to do your headshots. You don't book a car photographer to do your wedding photos. Go and find a specialist headshot photographer. Now, most photographers will say, I can do a headshot. Yeah. Most photographers will stand you up against the wall and tell you to smile, and you will get the same result as you've always got. You need to really suggest that you would find a specialist headshot photographer. Go and look at his work or her work and scroll down and see that they can actually take good headshots. That's really, really important. Check out their portfolios. I'm still get surprised the amount of people that haven't looked at my portfolio, but they've booked me, and that's fabulous. It's great for me. But if you're just picking any old photographer or the one that's at the top, Google headshot photographers rather than just photographer, and that might make a difference to the result you get. So certainly I would be booking a photographer that has a studio. Now, it can be a home studio, and you can see my studio behind me. I'm in my double garage. It's a professionally dedicated studio. I don't drive my car into here. It's my office and my studio. So it's certainly big enough for what I do. But the reason that you want a studio is because you want to be able to control the background. I would always be suggesting that you have plain backgrounds. You don't want locations. If you want to, and people go, oh yeah, I want to be in Surfers Paradise. I want Surfers Paradise in the background of my headshot. I would normally suggest to people, if they want to show their location, then have a location shot. Take a photograph of Surfers Paradise or wherever you are, and just have a picture and say, this is where I live, or this is where I work, or whatever. Don't confuse it with your headshot. What happens when you have too much stuff in the background? It's distracting. So you get people looking at Surfers Paradise and suggesting that, oh, didn't we stay at that building or something? All of a sudden they're not focusing on you. So the most important thing in your headshot is your head. So make sure that there's a plain background. So plain backgrounds can be white, they can be grey, they can be black, they can be all sorts of colours, but generally don't have distractions in the background of your headshot, because people don't want to be distracted. You don't want people thinking about something else other than how good you are at whatever it is that you do. So hopefully that makes sense. So obviously then you've got to think about budget. What's your budget? There are varying degrees of budget. I've seen headshot photographers anywhere from $50 all the way up to, I think the most famous headshot photographer in the world is Peter Hurley, who's out of New York in America, who's a fabulous headshot photographer. I think he charges about $3,000 per session. So, there's your budget, anywhere from $50. I would be suggesting that if you're going to book someone for $50, that you probably going to get what you pay for, which is probably one of those guys that's going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, stand you up against the wall and tell you to smile. You probably want to avoid those guys. Okay, so let's talk about the actual shoot itself. Hair and makeup. I often get these questions. Hair, I can see a few blokes there. Probably hair is not going to be a big issue with some of them for obvious reasons. Hair for women, I would be suggesting that you leave it reasonably natural. If you've got long hair, so I can see Robin's hair, you might be able to do a ponytail. I would be often suggesting that you get it back off your face. I get a lot of women that come in and their hair's like this, and often they're showing their lack of confidence by kind of trying to hide behind their hair almost, yeah? So it becomes like a barrier. So get your hair back if you can. Doesn't necessarily have to be too far back. It can be a ponytail. I love ponytails, but just get your hair back a little bit off your face. People want to see you. They don't want hair across your face doing this kind of stuff. So, but again, keep it natural. I sometimes get women that have their hair done and it's kind of like buffet, I suppose is the word. I don't know. It just looks solid. I always tend to tell them to run their hands through their hair and just give it a bit of life. Okay, makeup. I don't suggest that guys should wear makeup generally. Doesn't make any sense for me for guys to be wearing makeup. If you do, okay, fabulous. But, generally most blokes don't need makeup. I know there are some guys that will suggest, or some makeup artists that will suggest a light covering of powder or something along those lines. But Aaron, no, I wouldn't be suggesting makeup for you, buddy. So for guys, bit of scruff, that's okay. Again, it depends what you do. It'll be industry dependent upon whether or not you get away with having a scruff. I don't think there's too many industries these days that will dictate to guys about the length of their hair or the amount of stubble, beards and all those types of things. I think they're all open slathered these days. I know I used to work for a bar back in the day and at an international hotel, and you couldn't have your hair below your collar, and you had to be clean shaven every day. So, and that was at a bar. So anyway, that was the way. I think things have changed these days. This microphone's giving me a bit of grief. It's trying to block my face. Is that still okay? Good. Okay, so hair and makeup for women. We've talked a little bit about hair. Let's talk about makeup. I struggled a long time to find a makeup artist, generally because I find makeup artists go too heavy on the makeup. So I know that probably counterintuitive a little bit, but I think that keeping it clean and keeping it natural is my best advice for makeup. I've had women come into my studio looking like they're about to go to some sort of a ball or some sort of a night out on the town. Generally, if you didn't want to use a professional hair and makeup artist, I would be suggesting that you would wear the same makeup you would wear most days at work. Wear whatever makeup you wear when you're going to work. Otherwise, if you are going to spring for a professional hair and makeup artist, I would ask them to keep it more natural. Smoky eyes and all those types of going out to nightclub type of makeup faces just doesn't really work. You want to keep it natural tones and natural lipstick, all that sort of stuff. I won't go on too much about hair and makeup, but that's about it for hair and makeup. Okay, clothing. We talked a little bit about clothing. Keep it professional. Again, imagine that you're meeting one of your best clients in person. That would be the type of clothes that I would wear. So for guys, again, it's open slather these days pretty much. if you're in a suit and tie type of an industry, then I know loads and loads of guys. Again, majority of my time is based on the Gold Coast, but I do spend a fair bit of time in Brisbane these days as well. Brisbane is a little bit more tie wearing than Gold Coast. Even if you don't wear a tie, I'd always suggest that you take one and get a shot with a tie on, just for the sake of it, because even if you don't choose it on the day, you can always call back to that photographer and go, hey, you know, that shot we did with that tie on, I need that shot now, because in a lot of industries, Sydney and Melbourne are still predominantly tie wearing these. So you may be requested. I've had guys come in and go, no, I never wear ties. I don't wear ties. No, I don't need to get a shot with a tie on. And then 6 months later, they've got to come back in again because they're going off to give some talk in Sydney or Melbourne or somewhere, and they've been requested for a suit and tie shot. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I know there are some industries that, hey, we just don't wear ties. I'm a photographer. I never wear a tie. But, you know, again, if you come from one of those industries that occasionally in other cities, they might wear a tie, just keep that in the back of your head. So we've talked about backgrounds predominantly. So I'm now going to talk to you about my level method system. So if you came here looking for ideas as to how to make your head look better in a headshot or in a photograph, this is where you need to, I guess, tune in. All the other stuff is just lead up stuff. My 5 basic, I call it my level method system. The 5 basic techniques on what I step people through every single time I shoot somebody's headshot. So there's only 5. It's not rocket science. It's not complicated, but it will help you look better in your headshot. So the very first one that I always teach people how to do is their jawline. Now, I'm not a big fat bloke, but if I do that, you can see I get a bit of this stuff in here. Yeah. Now, if I pull the microphone just a little bit away from my head, and you can see I've come back into my chin here, and I've matched my neck with my chin, and I've got 4 chins here going on, 2 or 3 chins there. Right. Now, if I push my head out towards the camera, those chins have gone. Yeah. Now, there's 2 movements in this. So basically what I'm doing is I'm creating distance from the point of your chin to your neck. Now, it's really, really important that the other thing that's happening is the camera height. It's no point. Now, I'm looking at Paul Kennedy there, who's got his camera way down below his chin. Yeah. Now, if Paul was, can everybody see Paul? Now, if Paul was to tilt his head down, tilt your head down, Paul. Yeah. And then straighten it up a little bit. Tilt it down a bit more. And then push it towards your camera. Yeah. See how all of a sudden he's now got a nice looking jawline. So we can all do it. Now, it does feel a bit weird, but when you're only shooting from your shoulders to the top of your head, it doesn't look weird in the photo. Yeah, it feels weird, but it doesn't look weird. Now, if you go to my portfolio at theheadshotguys.com.au and look at every single one of my headshots in my portfolio, you will see that every single person that I photograph has a nice chiseled looking jawline, no double chins. So there's 2 techniques involved in that. There's that pushing out and pushing your head towards the camera. Now, the reason it works is because cameras are 2-dimensional and they squash you. So even though you're pushing your face towards the camera, it doesn't look like you're pushing your face towards the camera. So it's a little bit uncanny and it feels a bit weird, but once you see it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So there's 2 movements. Like I said, there's the out and then there's the down a little bit. Now, the reason that you tilt your head down Now, it could be, in effect, what you're really doing is pushing your forehead towards the camera. Yeah. Now, what you're doing with the tilt is you're giving yourself a little bit of humility. Yeah. We've all seen that. How many real estate agents are here? Any real estate agents? No, I can't. Nobody's put their hand up. Nobody's shaking their head, nodding their head. So I guess there's no. But sometimes you'll see real estate agents doing this. Yeah. Now, because often someone's told them, oh, you raise your chin up and you'll get rid of all your double chins. But all of a sudden, the photograph's going up your nose. Yeah. Well, I don't want to see up your nose. I want to see your face. So you push your head forward and you just do a little bit down. So it gives you a little bit of humility, makes you look a little bit humble. You don't want to look cocky. You want to look humble. Yeah. So the other thing that the tilt down does, anything you do have going underneath here, it hides it. So you can practice this in the mirror. You can just push your face out towards the camera and tilt it down. Yeah. It's not complicated. But once you get it, once you find your position, you can do it every single time you get photographed. You'll never, ever have, like people say to me all the time, oh, I can't get my headshots done yet. I need to lose some weight. No. I'll teach you how to lose weight. Just come in here and tilt your head in the right way. And you'll instantly lose all your chins. Trust me. All it does, it stretches the skin around your natural bone structure. Straight away, you go out, you go down. Yeah. So that's the first thing that you do. The second thing are your eyes. Yeah, I call these techniques jawline, eyes, mouth, turning and tilting. So we've already looked at jawline. So we go out and we go down. The second part of it are the eyes. Now, we talked before about confident and looking confident and looking capable. Confidence and capability come from your eyes. Now, there's always, in any portrait, there is always a battle for attention between your eyes and your mouth. I generally like my imagery for the eyes to win. If people land on your eyes in your corporate headshot, it means they're thinking about your confidence and your capability. If they land on your mouth first, it means they're thinking about your personality. Does that make sense to people? Yeah. So what we're doing with our eyes is we want to look focused. Now, our corporate headshot is actually not about us. It's about our potential clients looking at us, trying to decide whether or not we A, have got half a clue about the job we do, or B, whether or not we're going to take your call to action. Now, your call to action could be read my profile, click on a link, visit my website, ring me. You know, that's up to you and how you market yourself. But generally, you want to move them from your headshot to your information, to your social medium, to your website, to your email, whatever your call to action is. You want to move them along that little funnel. So they need to feel like you know what you're doing. So you do that with your eyes, and it's a little bit of a squint. Now, guys normally get this really quickly. Girls have a little bit more trouble with the idea or the notion of squinting. It's not really a squint, it's kind of a focused look. Now, the way I describe it and the way I practice it with my clients in the studio, it's akin to looking at the bottom line at the optometrist. You know, the chart that we always have at the optometrist, where there's a few people in here with glasses, so you'll know what I'm talking about. You get to that bottom line and you're sort of looking at that bottom line and you're going, is that a P or a D? It's that really focused look. So again, if you were to go to my portfolio on my website and have a look at some of those guys, you will see again that they've got a focused look. You want to give your potential clients the idea that you're interested in them. And the only way to do that is for them to feel like you're focused on them. So how do you focus? You focus with your eyes. If I sat here and looked at you guys like this, you would think, geez, I'm off with the boonies or I'm a bit out to lunch. So it's not about opening up your eyes. Yeah, it's about having your eyes focused on your potential client. And you do that with a ligament under here. Yeah, and all you're doing is you're raising that up. Now, like I said, a few of you have got glasses, so you've been to the optometrist, you know how it works. And you're just doing a little bit of a focus look so that your potential clients feel like you're looking at them. Does that all make sense? Thumbs up for those people that I can see. Yep. Okay. Any questions? Don't forget, jump in if you've got any questions. Okay. So the next thing we move to is the mouth. Yeah. And what I call your level or your range of smile. Everybody has a range of smile from nothing up to your biggest smiley smile. We've got to work out where is your best level of smile within your range. Now, I never tell anybody to smile in my sessions. Yeah, never, ever, ever do I say, smile. Because you know what people do when you tell them to smile? They go, and they look all weird and fake. Yeah. So my toughest gig in the studio every day with every single client is working out what do I have to say to actually make this person smile. Yeah. So the reason I want to do that is because people have a range of smile. So if I say something stupid and funny, yeah, and I make you smile, really smile, then your face lights up. Now, what happens is it gets to the top of your smile. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to take 150 shots of you smiling your face off. What I do then is, because it's a real smile, it's thought-based. It comes from in here. Eventually, that thought starts to fade away. As it fades away, your face relaxes back down through the smile. So what I do is I shoot you here, I shoot you here, I shoot you here, and I shoot you here. So on my screen, because I shoot tethered, so I'm connected to a computer, so up on my screen, your head is coming up. So it's very much what I call action learning. So you see your head on a big 30-inch screen automatically. So people are automatically seeing their range of smiles. So then we've got your range of smile on my screen. We decide which one looks best. Is it your big, big, big smile? Probably not. Is it your three-quarter smile? Is it your half smile? Is it your quarter smile? Is it your closed mouth smile? So then we start to have all these different smiles that we can start to look at and go, well, that can be dependent upon where you might put it. So, for example, you might have a little bit of a bigger smile on your Facebook profile than you would on your LinkedIn profile, because you're changing your headshot for your demographic. Now, we all understand that people on Facebook are generally mums and dads type people, generally, not always, but generally. Whereas LinkedIn is a little bit more corporate, a little bit more serious, a little bit more business people. So you might have less of a smile. You can still have a smile, but it'd be less of a smile. So I always say warm and approachable is the one that I look for. Now, warm and approachable can be closed mouth smile. Now, I love closed mouth smiles, and I can teach you how to do a closed mouth smile. But if you like your teeth, you've got nice teeth, well then, if you've got green busted up stumps, I would be suggesting that you learn how to do a closed mouth smile. Now, closed mouth smiles are interesting because what happens with most people is they jam their lips together. And that's no good, because what happens is you lose all your lip shape. Yeah, particularly for women, that's no good. You want to have lip shape. So the idea is to have your lips barely touching. Yeah, sometimes I'll say to people, breathe through your mouth so that you have a little bit of a gap. And then you can just have a little smile, a little tiny smile. It's about looking warm and approachable, not smiley and happy. Again, remember back to the purpose. Nobody cares about your personality in a corporate headshot. Yeah, they're trying to work out whether or not you look like you might have half a clue about the job you do. Yeah, so warm smiles, real smiles. Your headshot photographer should be a little bit of a comedian, or he should have some personality that enables you to smile for real. If he's standing you up against the wall and just telling you to smile, unfortunately, you probably picked the wrong photographer, because you're going to look weird and fake maybe in all your headshots and not give the right impression to your potential clients. Okay, so we've done the jawline, we've done the eyes, we've done the smile. The next two things we talk about are turning and tilting. So turning is about symmetry, and it's turning your head a little tiny bit. Now, we often hear actors talk about their side. Yeah, we do have a side. Now, I don't talk in goods and bad sides. I talk in approachable and strong. Yeah. So 86% of people, and it's difficult sometimes because the little thumbnails I'm getting in your heads, it's difficult for me to see your eyes, but 86% of people have one eye bigger than the other. So you might have to go and look in the mirror, but if you look in the mirror, you'll be able to see that for most people, they have one eye bigger than the other. Now, I know that my left eye is bigger than my right eye. Yeah. So it's not, a lot of people say, oh, I've got a lazy eye. I said, no, that one's not lazy. It's just the other one is bigger. So most people will start to smile out of one side of their mouth first. So we have this big eye, smiley mouth. So straight away we think strong side, more approachable side. Yeah. Now, when we're talking about your side, I very rarely will turn people this much. I might turn them this much. I might turn them this much. And it's about symmetry. There's a thing out there called the golden ratio, 1 to 1.618. And it's the reason that we look at the Brad Pitts and the Angelina Jolies of the world and think, wow, they're so beautiful, they're so good looking, is because their faces are symmetrical. The rest of us, we have to actually move our face one way or the other. So it might be this much, it might be this much, yeah, but it'll be minuscule, not that much. I generally like people straight down the barrel, yeah. So the last thing we do is a little bit of a tilt. So if you don't remember anything else from my little chat today, remember this: never, ever, 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 ever tilt your head towards a photographer. So, and what I mean by that is, if I'm faced this way and I tilt my head towards the camera, I get all this stuff in here. Makes my neck look short, and it shows a lack of confidence because all of a sudden I'm hiding behind my shoulder. What you want to actually do is go back the other way, because all of a sudden it lengthens this, gets rid of all the lines and all the rest of that stuff you might get if you've got a collar on or a jacket or something like that. You haven't got bulges hanging over the edge of your neck. You go back the other way. Yeah. Lengthens your neck, gets rid of all that. So we go out, we go down, we go tilt, we go eyes, we go mouth. Mouth is normally the last thing that I'll concentrate on, because I'll say something stupid and funny to make you really smile. Does that make sense? Any questions about any of that? I think my time is nearly up. Nick might give me a finger count as to how many minutes I have left. No, he's not listening to me.
Doing pretty well. We've probably got 5 minutes or so left for
okay, cool.
questions and
so
comments. So, yep.
Just to recap what I'm on about: jawline, eyes, mouth, turning and tilting. Really, really important things to probably practice at home. If you're lucky enough to get a photographer, you're standing in front of a photographer who understands these concepts, then, excuse me, you will automatically start to look better. Now, you can practice them at home in the mirror, and it's just out, down, tilt, eyes, mouth, out, down, tilt, eyes, mouth. And you can get yourself into that little routine. Now, you have to decide what side's better. Do you like your stronger side where your bigger eye is, or do you like your other side where your mouth starts to smile first? Depending on your industry will determine how big of a smile you have. I can't think of any industries that need a big, big, big smiley smile, the top end of your smile. I would always be concentrating on having the smile and then coming back down again. Yeah. Closed mouth smiles always look awesome. I know I love doing closed mouth smiles with Nick when I do his headshots, because it just makes you look confident and capable. And like I said, there's always that constant battle for attention between your eyes and your mouth. If people are drawn to look at your eyes first in your corporate headshot, they're thinking about your confidence and your capability. If they're drawn to look at your mouth first, they're thinking about your personality. Nobody cares about your personality in a corporate headshot. So you don't really want them looking at your mouth first. You don't want them looking at your beautifully crafted, gleaming white teeth. You want them looking at your eyes. So confident and capable is where you're at. So remember, if you've got a really tall photographer, then you need to tell him to come back down to your level. He should be at about the camera should be at about your chin level. Yeah. If he's really tall, he's going to be shooting down on you and you're going to look small, minuscule, probably lacking confidence. Likewise, if you've got a real short photographer, now you can't see me, I'm not standing up. I'm a little bit short. I'm about 172 centimeters or something. So I get tall people come in. I've got a step ladder that I step on, or I get people to perch on a stool to bring them down to the right level so that I'm shooting at the right height. So these types of things are really important because you don't want someone shooting up your nose like this, and you don't want someone shooting the top of your head. So they should be coming down to the camera should be about your chin height. Yeah. So not dissimilar to where my camera is now. So that should be the height of the camera. So again, these are things that photographers don't do because headshots, they go, oh yeah, I can shoot your headshot. Yeah, no worries. Yep. But most people have a loop going around in their brain that says, I hate being photographed. I always look like crap and I'm not photogenic. And that is because often headshot photographers don't know how to shoot you properly. So if you can remember these techniques, jawline, eyes, mouth, turning and tilting, you will instantly get better photographs, particularly if you have an opportunity to practice. That's about all I've got for you at this stage. I think it's 7:25. I know Nick probably wants to jump in here and talk some stuff at you. Are there any questions about anything that I have discussed?
There's a couple there just in chat. Brad, one of them is, what was it? Aaron says the techniques are not easy.
If you would like to, whoever that is, Enza, if you would like to shoot me a contact form, I can talk to you through pricing. There's a couple of different options that I have. Basically, I have a shoot fee, and then people purchase images, as many or as few images as they want. So I get models and actors that come in and want 15 headshots. Corporates generally don't need that many headshots. 5 to 10 normally will get you out of trouble probably for the rest of your life, for most of you. So you can choose one, you can choose 10. It's really up to you. So I have a sitting fee and then I have a price per image. The techniques are not easy. So hard when someone just gives you a quick moment to prepare. Yeah, listen, these concepts are not easy. Generally in a session, my headshot sessions are 90 minutes. So people go, 90 minutes, what the hell are you going to do in 90 minutes? Well, in 90 minutes, I'm going to make you look like a rock star. So because you're going to get I'm going to take 120 photos of you. Nick's come in. Sometimes Nick and I drink beer as well as taking headshots. So I probably shouldn't tell you that, but Nick and I have been buddies for a few years, so we hang out. But our headshots sometimes take longer than that. But generally, it's 90 minutes, and I take 120 photos. So I've got a master's degree from an Oxford University in action learning. Action learning is learning by doing. So basically what we do is we take a couple of shots, we come over, we look at the screen, we talk about, okay, how much do I need to squint? How much do I need to smile? How much do I need to turn my head? How much do I need to tilt? All those types of things we practice and practice and practice. Now, again, obviously, these are techniques that you can do at home in the mirror before you go to your headshot photographer. But looking at your headshot photographer's portfolio will often give you an opportunity. If you book one and he says, oh, it only takes 10 minutes, I'd be a little bit wary about those types of guys, because it means that they're not going to give you the time in front of his camera to enable you to actually see how it works on the screen or in your image. So that's it. But yes, the techniques, they're not complicated. It's just, it's a practice thing. That's why I take 120 photographs, because I like them to take their time and practice a lot. Did you have your hand up, Paul?
Yeah, hi, Brad. For those of us who wear glasses, you gave us a couple of comments. Anything else at all?
Glasses, okay. So I will often advise people to wear their glasses because I was born in a generation, I don't know, I'm 60 years old. I was born in a generation that said if you wore glasses, you're instantly smarter than everybody else. But I wear contact lenses. I do have glasses, but I wear contact lenses most of the time. But do wear your glasses. I think that, again, with these techniques in place, that you will look better in your glasses as well. And then again, that's about getting light out of your eyes. Now, sometimes if you wear glasses, you might get the light reflecting in your glasses. Now, the way to do that is to tell the photographer he needs to jiggle his lights around so there's not a reflection. And the other thing to do is you can just tilt your glasses forward a little bit. So the reason that we get those big light globs in our glasses is because the light is reflecting from the light, obviously, into our glass and straight into the camera. Now, if you were to tilt your glasses, you don't want to tilt them too far forward, but just enough so that the light that's hitting them is then reflected down away from the camera, you won't get those marks in your glasses anymore. But again, it often will depend on the style of glasses that you have. Some have that really reflective stuff, and I understand it's about looking at computers and reading stuff online and all that kind of stuff. So there's a coating on them. So I think if you've got that coating on them, it will look a bit weird. So then you need to tilt, or you need to get your photographer to move his lights around, jiggle them around, so that you're not getting that reflection in your glasses. But certainly, I would always advise people to wear their glasses if they wear them, generally.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Yep, cool. Any other questions? No? No, that's it. Nick,
Excellent.
I
Well,
think
probably
that's
bang
about it.
on. So everyone is ready to sort of shine their rock star looks in front of the camera. So I imagine there'll be, well, it's actually interesting watching people's faces here, sort of tilting forward, down to the left, and a bit of a smile, whatever. So I can see some practice happening here as well too. So should be able to see some good photos coming out as well. But yeah, excellent session, Brad. Always is. And yes, you've given away my secret to looking good in headshots. We just have a couple of beers, and that seems to do the trick. But
It's not
yeah,
something
it is
I
a
would
fun
normally
session.
suggest that you drink alcohol before or during your headshot session. Nick and I normally sit down for a couple of beers after our session. But yeah, because it affects your eyes. It gives you glassy red eyes sometimes if you drink alcohol. So other things I would say, probably try and shoot in the morning if you can, when your face is often a little bit fresher, particularly for women. Men, a couple of scruffy blokes, doesn't matter. But for women, generally, their faces are fresher in the morning. So that's another little tip. If you can, shoot in the morning, shoot in the morning. No alcohol.
Fabulous. Excellent. Oh, excellent session. I knew it would be. And if anyone wants to get in touch with Brad, his details are in the chat there. So it's the headshotguys.com.au, or you can email him at brad at the headshotguys.com.au. Very approachable, as you can see tonight. Yeah, definitely worth having a conversation with. And if you get the opportunity to do a session with him. It is quite different to the other photographers I've been to, but you do get some really good photos that come out of it as well too. So I've been going for years. So if you like my photos, go and see Brad. If you don't like them, go and see Brad, and he'll sort of do you better ones than you think. But let's give Brad a big round of applause to thank him for coming along tonight. So thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And of course, this session will be up on the YouTube channel tomorrow. So if you need some to just go over the advice that he's given you tonight, it will be up on the Smash Go YouTube channel tomorrow. The link for that is in chat. If you haven't subscribed to it, just click the subscribe button. There's a little bell that appears beside the subscribe button when you do subscribe. If you click that, then you'll get a notification as soon as that is the video has been uploaded. And feel free to share it. If you hear someone else talking about headshots or photography, feel free to share the video, the channel with them. It's all there sort of free for anyone to look at. And of course, we've got the other sessions up there in YouTube as well too. If you haven't joined the Business Owners Smashing It Online Facebook group, now's a good time to go and do that as well. And of course, we've been live streaming this through to the Facebook page as well. So there's another page, another place that you can get the replay as well. All right, well, that's our session for tonight. If probably now is a good time to save the chat. If you haven't saved the chat, or if you already saved it and you want to get all the rest of those links in there, just click those three little dots on the top right-hand side of chat. Memory chat, if you're not sure where it is, there is an icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You click on that, that'll open up chat, and then you can save that. When you do save it, there's a little link that will take you to where you've saved it in your computer. It will just open it up instantly, so you don't have to go and look for where your downloads folder is. Excellent. Well, look, we'll be back here, same time, same place next week. Again, Brad, thanks for coming along and sharing all of your tips and hints and wisdom tonight. And everyone else, thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you back again next week.
There's a question there, Nick. Is he gone?
There's a question, is there?
There was a question. What would you advise about shoulders? Softening or sharp? I think what you're trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, is it from Mel B? About shoulders, soften or sharp. Now, I tend to turn people a little bit. Now, the reason I turn people and have one shoulder forward or the other shoulder forward is it softens you, but it also softens your overall image, but it also slims you down. So if you look at me, my profile, my shoulders from shoulder to shoulder, I'm looking wide. So if I want to look a little bit slimmer, the distance from here to here is not as wide, so it does soften you. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about focus? If you're talking about focus, I tend to like it all in focus, from the tip of your nose to the back of your head. I'm not sure if that's what you meant. Shoulders, soften it or sharp. Yeah, I'm not sure. Hopefully I've answered that question. Is that it, Mel?
There's a thank you and a yes. So, yep, you've got that all in one.
Yep. Okay. Awesome.
Fabulous. All right. Time to go and relax. Enjoy the evening. Grab that glass of wine. I know I certainly am. All right. We're going to have a sensational evening, and we'll catch you back next week. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nickcree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.